Dr. Rob Silverman here, Proven Health Alternatives. I've got my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jeffrey GladdMD. I'm so excited to have him on. We're going to hurdle over some interesting topics, and we're going to have an emphasis on where docs can get supplementation, why they need supplementation, and why they're able to pick supplementation from Fullscript. With that said, Dr. Gladd, I'm happy that you're here to join me.
Oh, it's great to be here, Dr. Silverman. Good to connect again, and love to spend time with you. So this is great.
Excellent, excellent. My pleasure. Listen, let's get right into it. Let's do it with, as you say, New York style. Let's talk about the hot topics of the day. They are longevity and changing your lifestyle to get health span and vitality.
Absolutely. I still see patients. So it's 2.5 days a week here in Indiana, in addition to my role at Fullscript. And it's really been sort of the focus of the practice of the patients I've kept on. A lot of it comes from my own journey of trying to also optimize health span. But clearly, this is where so many patients want their practitioners to go and where they want the conversation to go.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, longevity is the incisive conversation of 2023 and beyond. And without question, we're talking about changes in diet, exercise, decreasing inflammation, microbiome, enhanced autophagy, all things that are going to obviously be changed by exercise, food, and supplements. You are the medical director for Fullscript, am I correct?
I'm the chief medical officer. Yeah, I work hand in hand with the medical director. So I am the only medical doctor in the company. I'm also the one of the few U.S. doctors. So play that critical role of being able to bring clinical context to the C-suite, both in terms of helping their personal longevity and health mission, but also in terms of how Fullscript views this and how we can continue to optimize practitioners' practices, in terms of treatment plan recommendations, whether it be supplements or, as you say, those critical lifestyle elements and foundational approaches that are so often forgotten, but still absolutely foundational, right? Supplements are a supplement to that core piece. So we want to make sure we hand practitioners the tools to do it all.
So Fullscript, for those who don't know what it is, could you give an overview of what Fullscript is, not just in supplements and everything that you carry and where you're growing and how you started?
Yeah, so this is going to be a long one. So Fullscript is a health technology platform that allows practitioners to prescribe and manage evidence-based treatment plans for their patients. Very heavy in the supplement side of things, because that's the most difficult thing for a practitioner to manage as well as dispense. Whether that's carrying inventory and throwing away things that have expired, or dedicating staff to having to manage all that, or your shelf space is small and you really want to broaden what you're recommending for patients. So we have the tool to be able to have access to almost 20,000 different SKUs and products, which can obviously be overwhelming as well. So we have tools to help make that simple for practitioners who are just getting started with evidence-based protocols, very structured focus of which ingredients, which doses, which forms to be focused on. But we say we have healthcare's best supplements, and we stand behind that because we have a very, very focused and comprehensive quality program. So, unlike most places that patients or practitioners are getting supplements, we have direct partnerships with all of our brands. So we work intimately with each brand. We only work with brands that have been vetted for quality, third-party certification, making sure that what's on the bottle is in the capsule, which is obviously a critical element. If you follow headlines from other e-tailers out there or other places where patients get their supplements, Fullscript makes sure that you have confidence as a prescribing practitioner that the products you're recommending are going to have the clinical outcomes that the evidence speaks to. We are an absolutely free tool for the practitioner. So this is another value prop to any practitioner making supplement recommendations. There is, of the MSRP price of each supplement, there's a 35% margin for the practitioner to work with. They can choose to take that margin and support the business of their practice and keep their doors open, or you can discount the patient's purchase and make it even more of a no-brainer. Not only the patient has quality, but the average practitioner on the Fullscript platform, of which we have 90,000 practitioners using Fullscript, gives their patients around a 10% discount. I love to tell my patients, not only am I prescribing high quality, I'm also giving you the opportunity to save so that you can find these products at a lower cost than you're going to be able to find them anywhere else. And so again, we call that sort of the hybrid approach for practitioners from a margin perspective. And some practitioners want to make no money on supplements. Fantastic. Give your patients the full discount, have them stick to quality. But the sort of the technology platform that we pride ourselves on is built on improving the patient adherence to their treatment plan. So, with refill reminders, with calculating when patients are going to be running out based on the dosing you've prescribed, we're able to get ahead of that and let patients know, hey, you're about, a week or two from running out of your fish oil, say, time to renew. And we now have a very incredible intelligent tool with auto ship capabilities where patients can be on auto ship, and these products, they're not going to drop off their treatment plan. How many times have you seen it in practice, Dr. Silverman, where, patient runs out, they can't get to the office, they find what they think is the next best alternative at their local drugstore, and all of a sudden their labs have now changed, right? You can see that, as you're reviewing labs before the visit, like something changed here. So keeping them consistent with those high quality treatment plans is really what we're most proud of at Fullscript.
Great description. Now, you mentioned third-party certification. I think for those who are viewing, they'd love you to delve in a little bit and how that really is the difference maker. Because it's a difference for me, because what's on the bottle, what's on the label is in the bottle versus we're not really sure. And if you carry professional lines, if you could talk about the reason a professional line, not just the quality of the ingredients, but the ratios. So the ratios being correct. So you've got nutrient to nutrient synergy versus nutrient to nutrient agonism.
Yeah, for sure. So back to sort of third-party certification. Again, the FDA does have oversight over the supplement industry, but it's sort of on the honor system, right? So the FDA says, here's all the pieces that you need to do to have a quality supplement. We trust you're going to do that. We all know that that's rife with ways of getting around that, and quite dangerous for the patients. And so we trust in companies that use, certainly their own quality check marks, and we look at those, but it's even better to have a third-party certification. So a non-biased company whose only commitment is to a quality metric, whether that is, fish oil quality, probiotic quality, right? Vegan or gluten-free, right? Lots of certifications. My favorite certification, and the one that sort of is most trusted by the industry, is Nsf certification. And all of our 5 distribution centers are also Nsf certified. So again, not only are the products we're bringing into our distribution centers, having these third-party certifications vetted for quality, but we're keeping it in a facility and distributing it in the highest quality level. To your point, talk a lot about, well, what does that mean from a, professional brand or professional grade? It usually best aligns with the science that's available. And so this is a discussion I have with all my patients. I use fish oil as the best example here to say, yes, your labs and your goals and your health focus you should have an omega-3 on board. And based on, what we've looked at, that omega-3 should provide you with, say, 3,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. Hey, doc, well, I'm taking that. Look, my bottle on the front says, 1,000 milligrams omega-3s. I just take 3 of these. Well, no, I said 3,000 milligrams of EPA plus DHA, which is where the recommendations, even coming from the American Heart Association, suggest is how this needs to be dosed. Let's look at actually the supplement facts. And you start looking, go into the drugstore where your patients are buying supplements and look and see most of those products don't even list a dosage for the EPA and DHA. So you have no clue how many to even take. Where Fullscript, we're only going to have products that are going to be vetted and proven and shown. Here's the EPA amount. Here's the DHA amount. Here's the amount of capsules this patient should be taking daily to meet the recommendation that you're prescribing for them.
Great discussion, because you're right. So many times I look in the pharmacy and they say proprietary blend, and they're not revealing where they got it from, what they did. I mean, and we can get in granular if you'd like with the fish oils. Is it net caught? Is it line caught, etc.? And you guys go through all that process, you know, and that's why you hold the highest level of professional line. But you made a good point, a couple of really good points. Going back, auto ship just happened to me. I forgot to click the auto ship. The patient's like, hey, Rob said I need it. So you know what? I'm going to go find it somewhere else and buy 6 months worth. So here I am where I have to tell the patient, well, I'd really like you to take it and throw it in the garbage. And you realize that aligning with Fullscript is also practice management. Also, I know you guys do a lot of doctor education webinars. You share some basic protocols, and this enables people who may not be used to certain topics. I mean, because, you know, functional medicine, integrative medicine is vast. So if you want to expand about that a little bit, I'm sure the viewers would love to hear about it.
Yeah, so we've made a huge investment in education. Most of that is driven by our IMAT team, which is the Integrative Medical Advisory Team, which is a team of researchers and naturopathic doctors who've been in this industry for years. And from them, we have produced, you know, evidence-based treatment protocols with monographs to share with either the practitioner who's learning or the patient who needs to understand better what this treatment plan is and why it is best for them. Again, ingredient-based, focused on the ideal dosage, focused on the best standardized forms, which then easily matches to products in the catalog. You know, I think the other thing that we've really spent a lot of time on the last couple of years is called Fullscript Academy. So what we've learned is there are a lot of supplement conversations happening in the, you know, all medicine circles, not just integrative, not just functional, not just naturopathic. All healthcare providers are starting to make supplement recommendations and have supplement discussions with their patients. So, you know, but they didn't get that education, right? I didn't get it in my medical school training. I'm sure you got very little in your upbringing and training. You've got to go out and source that somewhere else, which is costly and time consuming. We want to provide as much education as possible to hand these practitioners to up level what we call their supplement IQ. And so Fullscript Academy has a number of free courses. I would recommend if you're just getting started in supplementation, Supplements 101 is the best course. The evidence for making these recommendations, what to look for, why quality matters, what conditions to focus on is all there. And then you're easily within your Fullscript, you know, in the Fullscript platform to start making these recommendations, you know, and start with yourself, start with friends and family. But then ultimately it's your patients that really want these conversations from you. And you immediately have some pretty great expertise to be able to carry those conversations.
So it's a one-stop shop where you can learn about integrative medicine, functional medicine, nutrition, whatever Vogue term you want to use. You do have some suggested protocols, which we all know is a recipe to start. Everybody cooks a little different. We're big proponents of individualizing and personalizing it for that patient's care. So I'm going to ask you a generic question. So those who are watching and who don't use supplements can start with themselves. What would you give as your 5, like I like to say, my foundation 5 supplements?
Yeah, I'm going to guess it's not all that different between the two of us, Dr. Silverman, but I would say, you know, the core is a very high quality multivitamin. You know, again, I think it's that just the broad spectrum of all the right forms of vitamins. So, you know, when I'm screening my patient's multivitamin, I tell them I'm looking for 3 things just off the top to screen whether what you're taking is quality and ultimately they understand the need to move to something more high quality. What's the form of magnesium, right? And too often it's magnesium oxide, which the data shows is not very well absorbed, if absorbed at all. So we've got to find a better form of magnesium. The vitamin E form, right? Looking for tocopherols. And specifically, if it's just going to have alpha tocopherol, it's got to be D-alpha tocopherol, not DL. DL is synthetic. And again, poorly absorbed and typically not getting into the system. And then I'm looking for excipients. What's all the other stuff being put in this product? And does it support your health and your goals, or might it actually weaken those? Right. So typically you're going to look for a lot of the over-the-counter multivitamins. You're going to find food dyes. You're going to find all kinds, you know, corn starches, other types of irritants. And so immediately my patients can understand okay, I don't know this world, but I'm glad I'm seeing you. Help me find the high quality multivitamin. So it's multivitamin. I live in Indiana, so vitamin D is of critical importance. I'm usually dosing that based on a blood level because I want to understand where you're at. This is a great time of year to measure blood levels. What did you do over the summer from a vitamin D perspective, knowing that we're probably going to have to drive that dose up in these winter months. I think a probiotic becomes foundational as well in terms of immune health, microbiome health, digestive health. I mean, you and I both know the gut is the center of health, whether it's brain, mood, cardiovascular, it's all there. Usually looking at some type of omega-3 fatty acid because very few of us get enough of that in the diet. So then what is that? My 4 multi-D probiotic fish oil. If I had to throw a fifth in, given the longevity focus, I'm probably talking about creatine. I have been overwhelmed by the data on creatine because of the critical importance of maintaining and gaining as much muscle mass as possible for your longevity goals. It's a tasteless supplement. It's very inexpensive. Can throw it in water, can throw it in a smoothie, but I'm going to move that into my top 5 just based on the evidence that's out there.
I love that you mentioned creatine. Creatine is also great if someone has a concussion, a little amnesia. It's good for short and long-term amnesia. In addition to great for muscle mass, I actually wrote my thesis 25 years ago on creatine when it was banned. And we can go into detail about everything that they banned, but we're going to keep it above the fray.
Yeah.
So creatine, real quick, do you load or do you want? That's always the question. Hey, do I load for the first 30 days or do I go with the 5 grams and get to the 30-day part?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, the evidence that I'm most familiar with recently is that if you're using creatine monohydrate, there is no need for a loading dose. And so I pretty much kind of focus on the 5 grams a day. There's been some interesting evidence recently where if you're skipping days or you're not doing it frequently, you can load and sort of cover the base of 5 a day. But I don't love that idea. Potentially, I don't want to introduce side effects, although it's very, very well tolerated. But I'm typically sort of putting my patients on 5 grams of creatine monohydrate every day and sort of sticking to that as their baseline supplementation and support.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about immunity. I'm trying to pick your brain. So clearly immunity has taken the world by storm almost 4 years ago. We had a viral infection that changed our trajectory in health. It really was quite revealing of how poor Americans responded to a viral infection. So patient walks in and says, I want to support, I want to balance. I ultimately want immune resilience. What would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the very beginning of that conversation is supplements probably aren't part of the conversation because we've got to get the core pieces right. Supplements play an incredible role in immune resilience and immune support, and I'll mention some of the ones, but it comes from lifestyle. I mean, the pandemic showed us, if anything, lifestyle is of critical importance if you want immune health, if you want resilience, if you want to be able to, sort of minimize the potential burden of infectious disease. So, we're working on the diet. We're talking about what they're doing. We're handing them off to our nutrition team and our dietitian team to work on that piece. We're talking about, mindfulness and sleep because stress and poor sleep are really compromising your immune system and your immune function. Can you exercise? What can you do? What do you enjoy doing? So if I can knock those pieces out, then we're focused on, okay, let's go look at that vitamin D level because that has a huge, huge impact on your immune health and what you're going to be able to, withstand. And then it's probiotics and digestive health as part of the immune system and the immune focus. And then we'll look at things, specific sort of in the, the recent pandemic focus. Zinc became of critical importance, always was important for immune system, but I think it's become more important as a focus area. Things like N-acetylcysteine. So there's some great combination products that have come out without that proprietary dosing that you mentioned, right? Which you don't quite know how much is in there of each product. So that's kind of the core focus we're talking about. And then we'll talk about maybe some of the combination viral herbal strategies for supporting immunity in general, whether that's echinacea or astragalus or medicinal mushrooms. And based on that patient's journey, is that a maintenance dosing plan for them? Or is that a, hey, have this in your cabinet so that if you are around someone who's ill or start to feel ill, you can go to it. I think a really critical topic that we haven't talked about, Dr. Silverman, here is understanding the patient's budget for their supplement plan. I think too often we get in this mindset of everyone should be taking these 15 things. Well, okay, they do that, but they realize how much it costs them. And now the lifetime value of the patient staying on that plan is almost nothing. And so that's a conversation I have very early on with my patients. Fullscript showed in our treatment adherence work, patients' budget is critical. So ask them, how much of a budget do you have for your supplements? Because we need to prioritize certain ones. They're going to wind up spending something that I would consider more of a tier 3 focus for them because it's sexy and it's hot, and they saw something on social media about it. When in fact, creatine and vitamin D may be really what they need, and it's not going to break the budget so they can stay on it long term. So that's part of my conversation too is, okay, here's the 3 or 4 things that I think are really important. Does this fit the budget? Yeah, no problem. Hey, is there anything else? Because I do have a little more spend here to focus on something else. Always encourage patients to use their HSA and FSA funds, which is easy to do on the Fullscript platform. They can, charge that, save, depending on their tax bracket, 30 to 40% off of their supplements, which is another way to really save money and be able to take the right amount of products for them. But those are all the topics, and I hope I answered the question on the immune piece, but also kind of, tangentially wanted to talk about what I think is really important for patient adherence, which is just kind of understanding where they're coming from, what they're willing to take, and I think, also just the number of pills. Sometimes we don't think about that burden as well.
Great point, because as you know, I practice and I also lecture. And I lecture to docs, and I lecture to students who are in the process of getting their doctorate, MDs, DCs, naturopaths, and the like. And they ask for a protocol, and I have 15 things listed. And you're right, I have to say, here are the 3 that they have to have, and here's the one that you start with, because it's overwhelming to a patient to look at all these pills. And we're trying to stay away from the proverbial medical model, with all respect to it. We don't want to just feel like we're pill pushers. And that's the beauty of what Fullscript really provides, because it provides the ability to pick one. It gives you the ability, again, not necessarily to charge the top shelf amount of money. You can decrease that amount of money. And one of the things in reference to immunity that was really made apparent to me in the last 3.5 years, 3 3/4 years, people didn't want to come see me in New York. Some people didn't want to walk in my office. Some people now don't want to take a 15-minute drive. So you have a drop ship. And when I found out I don't need as much space in my office, or I can utilize space for something else, because I don't have to carry stock, if you would. So all those things that you shared with everybody was very salient, if you will. Last thing I wanted to ask you about protocols. Brain. Everybody's talking about the brain. Everybody wants, that everybody's afraid of neurodegenerative disease. I know that that all neurodegenerative disease has an origin in the gut. It's autoimmune and everything like that. But I've got patients coming in. I have docs calling me, hey, I want to decrease my incidence of dementia. I want to keep my faculties. I don't want Alzheimer's. What would you recommend for that?
Yeah, I mean, again, as the core practice of this type of medicine is so similar, regardless of whether you're trying to optimize and minimize the risk of cancer, whether it's an autoimmune disease, whether it's, looking for immune resilience, looking for brain function. So again, back to the, kind of the same story from the immune resilience answer, lifestyle. Are you mindful of your diet? Are you consuming the right foods? Is your digestive health great? Are you practicing mindfulness and paying attention to stress burden in your life? How are you sleeping? Those are the key pieces. And those have their own supplement strategies inside of them, right? There's really great herbal strategies for supporting someone who's overburdened with stress, either overly taxed or overly wired. Big fan of L-theanine in terms of someone who's just constantly feeling that burden of stress and that sympathetic drive all the time. paired with mindfulness, lots of things to consider from a sleep perspective. Then you get into the focus of, okay, hey, I've got the core, doc. What are the next steps for me? This is, again, I think creatine is right there from a brain function, from a longevity perspective. I think it's there. I think omega-3 fatty acids are of critical importance, probably dosing them properly. We didn't touch on it, but diagnostics plays a great role, right? Understanding where you're at. And I would say from a brain perspective and a dementia perspective, it's homocysteine, it's highly sensitive C-reactive protein. Like, those are two table stakes markers for me to help them understand where they're at in that journey and what do we need to do if they're not optimal to focus on that, right? So obviously, high sensitivity C-reactive protein is an inflammatory marker. So you'd be going down gut health, probiotic, fish oil, maybe curcumin, homocysteine, focusing on the B vitamins. Talk a lot about B vitamins on the brain health perspective, mood health perspective. I think homocysteine is kind of a critical marker to understand that piece. Most patients are going to need more of the methylated side of those. And again, if we've got those knocked out, then you're looking at things like, what's the evidence, supporting this patient considering Bacopa or, huperzine or ginkgo. I think some of those things have some compelling evidence, but I like the core stuff a lot better. And if we need additional support, then we'll go down those paths and consider them.
Great answer. Is there anything new in the catalog that the practitioners need to know about?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about our launch of daily packs. And, it fits in all of these areas that we've already talked about, which is, compliance, adherence from the patient, convenience, right? So many patients are on the go. They don't have time to open up 8 bottles of products and separate those out, nor do they maybe, obviously it's ideal. I do it on Sundays and kind of spread my days out. But we've got daily packs now, which are individual packets that patients can take on the go. We have a couple different paths here. We have, daily packs with very specific protocols. So it's all based on these protocols we talked about: blood sugar support, cholesterol support, hot flash support, general wellness. So again, the practitioners that aren't, are just kind of starting in this supplement world, they're not quite sure what their protocol should be. We've got daily packs to support that. And we've seen that the daily packs increase the patient lifetime value of their treatment plan because the convenience is so easy. We're now starting to sort of release to a limited number of practitioners, learn as we go, and eventually this will be widespread, dynamic daily packs. So right now we've got 25 different ingredients of all the high quality brands. So we're not, these aren't generic products. These aren't any different than the high quality stuff that practitioners are used to. Put your own packs together for, what your expertise and knowledge, believes is the best for that specific patient. And now put them on these convenient packs that allow for this increased adherence. So love the daily packs movement that we're making. Really, really exciting to see on the Fullscript catalog.
Absolutely. I mean, here I am, I'm walking around with my little bag. I got 50 pills all over the place and they're dropping on the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, do I apply the 5-second rule to it? I've got to, I want to make it easy. And for patients, you want it literally that easy. So a daily pack makes a lot of sense and they can travel with it. They can keep it in their pocket because people are told to take vitamins at different times during the day. Some with food, some without food, etc. And we don't have to get into probiotic with that. We're fine. I did want to ask you, Fullscript is always focused on a user experience. You're a technology company. What's on the roadmap that you're most excited about?
Yeah, great question. Obviously with, the introduction of Chat GPT into the world, everyone's trying to figure out how to use this powerful tool. We're trying to figure out how to use it to support our practitioner. We know the practitioner is the key to this healthcare journey of the patient. And so how can we best use this technology to just support this? I think on the roadmap, and right now we're sort of living in beta mode, which is helping practitioners know what their patients are taking, regardless of whether it comes from Fullscript or not. I don't know. I'd love to hear kind of your version of this, Dr. Silverman, but in my practice, the best way to do that today, my EHR does not support, really elegant, detailed supplement intake, right? So I have patients fill out by hand or they can do it online, a PDF with what they're taking. I also, as a backup, because I know that they're usually not going to be as complete, so that but I'm asking for brand, I'm asking for why they're taking it, I want the context, but I also have patients bring that bag in, right? And we're going through each bottle. That takes 15 to 20 minutes of a 1 hour visit. So how can Fullscript solve that problem for the practitioner? We're working on a way to get patients to upload, take pictures of their bottles, be able to pull all that in for the practitioner and get a very quick but comprehensive view of, okay, here are the products your patients are taking. Here's the quality assessment of some of those, because again, this is the best way to sort of educate that patient. Hey, wait a minute, your multi's got all kinds of stuff in it and the wrong forms of minerals. This is, really what I'm most excited about seeing on the front lines of handing practitioners, sort of an upgraded experience for their workflows.
I agree. They write down what they take, but I make them come in, and they come in with shopping bags worth of stuff. And if
Yep.
you saw the shopping bags that some of the people come in, there's a couple of things. Well, one, if you're a young practitioner, your epiphany is they're buying it. So they're buying
Right.
it somewhere else, and they're not buying it from you. And not necessarily the money that's lost, but now you've got this whole Pandora's box, this black box that you open up. And as you said earlier, what are they taking? What are the contraindications? The quality of the ingredient, the emulsifier, the additives. So you have to go through that. So if you've got something that can organize that, make it fast, put it in a more epigrammatic fashion, I want to start right now. And I definitely want to share it with everybody. And all the practitioners that I know with a little bit of seasoning in their career would love to do that, because they're literally doing what you said. They're looking at a piece of paper that somebody wrote down, and they're looking at a shopping cart. Could you imagine somebody coming into your office and saying, here's all the food that I just bought for the next month?
Right. That's a great point. It is, and it's sometimes it's not all that different from a volume perspective. I remember, 10 years ago when a registered dietitian who wanted to work for us was shadowing me to see if this is what kind of the world she wanted to practice in. We went together to the lobby to bring the patient back, and he wheels in a carry-on suitcase entirely packed of supplements. Not the tiny carry-on, the one that you probably shouldn't bring on the plane, full of supplements. And she looked at me and she said, I don't think this is the right place for me. And I said, no, it's the right place because this freaks you out, because this is not the way this should work. And our job is to optimize the supplement plan. So yeah, it still happens today. So we're going to do a better job of serving that up for the practitioners.
Absolutely. You guys should really share that with everybody, because that would be an invaluable item. It's interesting. We talk about patient savings and money. I've always told everybody the most expensive vitamin they ever purchased was the one that didn't work. So I'm going to tee this up for you. Why don't you talk about patient savings with Fullscript as we get to that finish line versus, let's say, them purchasing an Amazon or vitamin, whatever.
Yeah, so this is a really key topic, and I spent a lot of time with the marketing and sales team earlier this year, sort of giving them all the ways that we should be letting practitioners and patients know that Fullscript is not only the best place to get highest quality, it's the best place to get highest quality at at less pricing for the patient. So I mentioned, this sort of the ability to discount patients off of the MSRP. Again, most practitioners are giving kind of a 10% discount off the top to all their patients, and that keeps the patients on that plan and keeps them sticky with Fullscript, which is really, really important. I think the use of HSA and FSA funds is huge, and patients should be using that, because when you're using Fullscript, your practitioner is prescribing these supplement treatment plans, which essentially means they're medically necessary. Sometimes, based on the patient's accounting guidance, they may need an extra sheet, or an extra script pad that says these are medically necessary, but they've got the roster of everything they got on Fullscript, so it's easy to already bring that up. I think the other piece, you mentioned Amazon. You see some of these high quality brands available on Amazon direct to the patient. Here's the way that Fullscript is a value prop to the practitioner and patient. These brands, when they're on Amazon, are selling at MSRP or MSRP plus. So the ability to save patients is not there. It's capped. Bring them to Fullscript and get this high quality at, again, whatever discount you've decided to provide them. So that is already sort of a savings versus other places they're getting it. Not to mention, just search Amazon and supplements. It's questionable how these are handled. These are not direct relationships with each brand like Fullscript has. So there's another sort of savings, but also quality piece to that. And again, the other big one is promos. I don't know if you use your Fullscript account to participate in the promos. We just had one in September. We're going to have another one for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I love promos because I love my patients knowing that you can get an even deeper discount, load up on products, get a couple extra things, particularly around the holidays, load up on some of that immune support. I will create what we call a protocol that can be shared across my practice for patients to know, here's the best evidence on immune support. Here are the best products to do this. The promos coming up, load up on that protection. Again, keep it on the shelf, keep it in your cabinet so that you've got immune protection backed up.
I think that's another thing that's very valuable for everybody. But I think the HSA and the FSA is great because especially now at the end of the year, people don't realize if they haven't tapped into it, one goes away, one rolls over.
Yep.
Now, my question, practitioner would ask me, how much does it cost to join? Do you have an annual membership? Is there money down, etc.?
Yeah, so that's the beauty and why we love talking about this topic in particular. So much of the time you see these great technologies and these workflow tools in your practice, and it's like, okay, how much is this going to cost me? What's the monthly membership? How much am I stuck for? Fullscript is an absolutely free platform for every practitioner to use. It is free to create an account. It is free to use the account. If your volume skyrockets and your patients are really loving Fullscript and using it, it remains free to the practitioner. That doesn't change. So again, it is an easy thing. Open your account, prescribe some stuff to a partner, to yourself, to some friends and family, see how the platform works. There's a mobile app for patients to make it really easy and increase their engagement, increase their adherence, and then start making these recommendations for patients. And so, we love the product, love the platform. As we talked about, it's getting better and better. But, if you're making supplement recommendations to your patients, I think Fullscript is the way to do that, to make sure it's baked into your workflow. Patients are getting the highest of quality. There's a way to save. It's a win for all of us.
Well, I'm all gassed up now. My question is, for everybody listening, how can they join?
Yeah, so I think you're going to put in the show notes and all the other notes, you're going to put the link. So I would use the Fullscript link that Dr. Silverman's going to have, as part of this episode. That's where I'd go, watch a video of the platform, but open an account. Again, there is no risk to opening that account. It's free. Play around, make some treatment plans for yourself and loved ones, and take off from there.
Outstanding. How can they get in touch with you if they want to hear more or they want your eloquence on their podcast?
Yeah, so I'm, usually found just about anywhere, but most often LinkedIn would be great to have a chat via LinkedIn. That would probably be the easiest way to get a hold of me on social media.
Fabulous. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for sharing such gems. I am a Fullscript user. I appreciate all that you do in the world of integrative medicine and functional medicine. Please keep up the good work. Have to have you on again. Dr. Rob Silverman, Dr. Jeff Gladd, Proven Health Alternatives.
Thank you.